Yes, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Okay, so welcome back to our online lecture. So today we will cover part one of our last chapter, which is sampling and hypothesis testing. Okay, so first of all, we have to know what is sampling. What do you understand about sampling? Is it about statistic, data, or maybe variables, or process, or maybe collection, or population, or maybe technique? It depends on what do you understand about sampling. So basically sampling is a selection of a subset of individuals from a statistical population. This is to estimate characteristic of the whole population. So this is the large population. Okay, and then you take out a few to have a sample. So this is you are doing sampling. Okay, so what is the purpose of the sampling? Okay, so the first one is to estimate the values of the parameters of the parent population from the big number of data. And then the second one is to conduct a hypothesis testing. Okay, so this one will be covered in the part 2 of this video. Okay, however, there are a few number of questions that you should ask yourself before you take a sample. Okay, so these are the few number of question. Okay, are the data relevant? Okay, so your data must be relevant, giving values of whatever you really want to measure. Okay, are the data likely to be biased? Okay, bias is actually a systematic error. Okay, for example, if you wish to estimate a mean time of a young woman running 100-meter, and then you did it by taking timing of the members of hockey team over that distance, that 100-meter, so your result will be biased because we know that that hockey player is much more fitter compared to the other young women, which is not a sport player. Okay, and then is the sample large enough? Okay, so in order to take out a small sample, you must make sure that you are having a big population, and then you must take out a large sample enough as well to have a real meaning. Okay, and then is the sample procedure appropriate in the circumstance? Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, so for example, you want to carry out a survey on the people's voting. Okay, and then on the people's voting on the election, and then how you choose your sample. For example, you select a name from telephone directory of, like, for example, Malaysia. Okay, and then you want to do a survey, but then you just choose based on the telephone directory. So that you are already automatically exclude the person who don't have a handphone, for example. Okay, and the next is the right person collecting the data? Okay, what does it mean? Okay, I give you example. Okay, for example, your school wants to estimate the number of students who are smoking. Okay, where this smoking is actually against the rules of the school. Okay, so each of the teacher is told to ask their students. Okay, to ask about 5 students in the class. Definitely the students will say no because they don't want to get into trouble if they say yes, right? So your result will be biased again. All right, and then does the method of the collection of distort the data is correct? Okay, distort the data. Okay, so usually people use a few methods in collection of the data. Okay, so for example, when you design a questionnaire, you frame the questions in such a way so that it will lead people into making a certain response. Okay, so depends on how you ask them in the questionnaire. All right, so these are the few questions that you have to check before you take a sample. Okay, so next is we look at what is sampling technique. Okay, so in your level, we just usually we just use random sampling. Okay, so random sampling, yeah, I'm very sure that everyone knows what is random sampling. And then the next one is other sampling procedure. Okay, so this one you will cover during your degree, I think. Yeah. So basically, it's just what is sampling technique we have in the nowadays, right? Okay, so these are the term and notation that you must know. So what is the population? Population is the collection of all subjects of interest whose properties are to be studied. And then from that population, when you take out a subset of this population, then we call it as sample, right? And then benefit of sampling is to enable us to process the required information and save on time and expenditure, because you don't have to focus, you don't have to spend more time to study a very big population, because you already take out that sample, and that sample must be large enough to to cover the population characteristics. All right, so for example, okay, so population, all pre-university students in Malaysia, that is population. But then what is sample? Sample is all pre-university students in the state of Kedah. Okay, second example, all the durians produced in particular farm. And then sample, when you take out from that population, all durians produced in a particular farm with the mass of each durian less than 1 kg. Okay, so these are few example in order for you to differentiate what is population and what is sample. So typically we are interested in some numerical features of a population, such as their mean and standard deviation, okay, where you have learned before. Okay, so these are the few parameters for population and population sample. Okay, a numerical summary of a sample is called statistic, such as sample mean. Okay, so these are the few the what we call this size for statistic is n, parameter is n. Capital N is for the big population, small n is for the small sample. Okay, and then x bar is for sample, mu is for population, which is that is their mean. Variance S square for sample, sigma square for mean population. Okay, proportion PS for population is, I think this one is not 3, this is 5, PHI 5. Okay. Okay, so I think that is for the first part. So later I will upload some more on the second part. So these are the basic for sampling. So we will look more on second part, which is hypothesis testing. Okay. Okay. See you later. Thank you.